Okay, San Antonio buyers. Something important has changed. And if you've been waiting for the housing market to give buyers a little more breathing room, this is worth paying attention to. There are more homes to choose from, more sellers adjusting their prices, and on the right property, buyers may have more room to negotiate. That is good news. So, should you buy a home in San Antonio now, or should you keep waiting? Here's my answer. If you're financially prepared, this is a market I would take very seriously as a buyer. And let me show you why. I'm Jon Huber with the Hub Realty Group, brokered by LPT Realty here in San Antonio, Texas. And today we're going to look at the numbers. But more importantly, we're going to look at the opportunities those numbers may be creating for buyers. Let's start with inventory. San Antonio is sitting at about 6.13 months of housing inventory. In simple terms, we have moved much closer to a balanced market. And for buyers, balance can be a very good thing. It means more choices, more time to compare homes, more opportunity to look carefully at condition, location, price, and the terms of the deal. You're not necessarily walking into every showing wondering whether 10 other buyers are about to write an offer before you get home. You can shop, you can compare, and on the right property, you can negotiate. Now look at the San Antonio New Braunfels Metro. There were roughly 14,140 active listings in June, about 5% more than a year earlier. That's a meaningful increase in choice. And here's another number buyers should love hearing. Nearly 28% of listings had a price reduction. Think about that. More than 1 out of every 4 listings had an asking price adjustment. That doesn't mean every seller will accept any offer. Of course not. But it does tell us that sellers are responding to the market, and some are becoming much more open to putting together a deal. The median listing price was around $325,000, about 4.5% lower than a year earlier. So when you put the picture together, more inventory, more price adjustments, and more time for buyers to evaluate their options, you start to see why I believe this market deserves a serious look. This isn't about rushing into a house. It's about recognizing that buyers have opportunities today that were much harder to find when the market was extremely competitive. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Buyer leverage isn't only about getting a lower purchase price. Sometimes the terms of the deal can be just as valuable. Could a seller contribute toward closing costs? Maybe. Could we negotiate repairs after the inspection? Possibly. Could we negotiate the price? Depending on the property, absolutely. And with the right financing and the right transaction, there may even be opportunities to discuss seller concessions that help with financing costs. The point is, we have things to talk about. We have things to negotiate. And that's very different from a market where buyers feel like they have to accept almost everything just to get the house. Now, mortgage rates are still an important part of the equation. They're higher than buyers became accustomed to during the ultra-low rate years. But here's where I don't want buyers making a mistake. Don't look at the interest rate and ignore everything else happening in the transaction, because the best deal isn't determined by one number. It's the combination of the home price, your financing, your monthly payment, seller contributions, property condition, and the terms we're able to negotiate. That's the full picture. And right now, some buyers may be able to negotiate things that were extremely difficult to negotiate in a hotter market. That's why waiting for some imaginary perfect market isn't automatically the best strategy. The better strategy is to find out what your opportunity looks like today. So how do I determine whether a buyer is in a strong position? I look at 5 things, and we're going to keep this simple. First, your payment. What does the complete monthly payment look like? Principal and interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, mortgage insurance if applies to your loan, and homeowners association dues if the property has them. If that total payment fits comfortably into your budget, great. Now we have something to work with. Second, your cash position. After the down payment and closing costs, do you still have some financial breathing room? Remember, depending on the property, we may be able to negotiate seller contributions towards certain closing costs. That's exactly why we analyze the deal, instead of assuming everything has to come out of your pocket. Third, your timeline. If you see yourself staying in the home for several years, maybe 5 years, maybe longer, that can make ownership much more attractive. You're not simply buying somewhere to sleep next month. You're choosing a home for the next chapter of your life. Fourth, the property. And this is where having more inventory is such an advantage. You can compare. Which home has the better location? Which one has the better roof? The better air conditioning system? The better layout? Which seller has priced realistically? Which property gives you the best overall value? More choices can help you become a more selective buyer, and that's a good position to be in. And finally, the opportunity. This is my favorite part. What is this house giving you? Has it been sitting on the market? Has the seller already reduced the price? Is there room to negotiate? Can we improve the price, the closing costs, the repairs, or the overall terms? Because you don't buy the San Antonio housing market. You buy one house. And the opportunity on that particular house can look very different from the headline you saw online. So let's answer the big question. Should you buy a home in San Antonio now, or should you wait? For a financially prepared buyer, I think today's market deserves a very serious look. Because right now, you may have more homes to choose from, more sellers adjusting their expectations, and more opportunities to negotiate a deal around your needs. Imagine buyer number one. They have stable income. Their payment works. They plan to stay in San Antonio. And they find a home they love where the seller is willing to negotiate. That's not a buyer I want sitting on the sidelines waiting for somebody to announce that the market is perfect. I want that buyer looking at the opportunity in front of them. Now imagine buyer number two. They like a house, but the payment is a little higher than they'd like. Does that automatically mean they shouldn't buy? No. Maybe we adjust the price range. Maybe we look at a different property. Maybe there are financing options to explore with the lender. Maybe we negotiate seller contributions. The answer isn't automatically no. The answer is, let's see if we can build a deal that works. That's what good buyer representation is supposed to do. And buyer number three, maybe they're not quite ready today. That's okay too. But instead of simply saying, I'll wait and see what happens, I want that buyer to know exactly what needs to happen next. Maybe it's building a little more savings. Maybe it's improving credit. Maybe it's talking with a lender about available loan programs or down payment assistance options they may qualify for. Now, waiting isn't doing nothing. It's preparing for the opportunity. And that really is the message I want you to take away from this video. Don't try to perfectly time the housing market. You don't need the perfect headline, the perfect interest rate, or the perfect month. You need the right home, the right payment, and the right deal for your situation. And right now, San Antonio buyers have something very valuable: choice. And with choice comes opportunity. So if you're thinking about buying a home in San Antonio, don't automatically assume you should wait. Let's actually look at the numbers. Let's look at the homes available in your price range. Let's see where sellers are reducing prices, where there may be negotiating opportunities, and what your complete monthly payment could look like. Then you can make the decision with real information in front of you. If you'd like help doing that, reach out to the Hub Realty Group and ask for your San Antonio buy or wait analysis. We'll help you look at the market, your price range, your goals, and the opportunities available to you. No guessing. No trying to time the market perfectly. Just a smart plan for buying the right home. I'm Jon Huber with the Hub Realty Group, brokered by LPT Realty. And if your next question is, how much money do I actually need to buy a home in San Antonio? That's exactly what we're covering next. I'll see you in the next video.